I'm gonna play for y'all this interview that Kid Cudi did with Call Her Daddy, and we're gonna discuss.
Look back, like, how do you feel the distance that you had from your
Like and
dad growing
subscribe.
up impacted you before?
Fucked me up because I would always hope getting older would bring me closer to my dad, and it got ripped away from me, that possibility. You know what I mean? And like literally, I thought like, who's gonna teach me how to be a man now? You know, like I thought that, like at 12, 13, you know, like who's gonna give me advice on women and like, things like that,
Yeah, that's interesting because it's like you're saying in your core, you know, a big part of why you couldn't be as close is because of your age, being the youngest. You're watching your older siblings have these different relationships. And in your head as a kid, all you obviously want is to be close to your parents and be loved by your parents. And so you're like, all right, my time is coming. My time, you're 11. How did you even like process that grief when it all
Oh,
happened?
I didn't. I pretended like it didn't happen. Like it was no time to really, grieve, because it's four of us, right? And my sister took it the hardest. She was 18 at the time, and yeah, she took it the hardest. And I was that kid like, hey, I don't want to be an extra burden to anybody. Like, let me just kind of keep to myself and keep on chugging along and not worry my mom. Just be cool.
I find this interesting, chat, because when I talk to people who either had severed relationships with their father, they don't know their father, or their father passed away when they were at an early age, and then they talk about like the mental stuff that they go through later on in life. It's like the correlation between present loving father, or the relationship with the father with their children rather, and how they end up turning out later on in life. Like the father is such a rock solid, literally the rock of the family. And it has not just physical, emotional consequences, but it also has psychological, is spiritual consequences as well. Because later on in this interview, Kid Cudi talks about the different stages of depression that he goes through in regards to fame and navigating that fame, going from like a regular guy to being like this huge superstar on the scene, and not being prepared for that. Because again, he lost his father when he was 11 years old. And so, in watching this, I was like, man, like he really missed out on something that could have really prepared him for later on in life. And even before his father passed away, like he talked about it, like his father was distant, his father's absent, his father was cold, and it had an effect on him mentally. And like you heard him say, like when he was starting to get of age to where it's like, okay, like I feel like I can get to a point where I can start to relate to my dad and be able to be close to him and get to know him and this, that, and the third. And then his dad ends up passing away. And it affects him so much, chat, that he doesn't even accept it. He doesn't even accept it. Like, he doesn't even process it. He literally ignores the death of his father. That right there is trauma on a whole nother level. It's trauma on a whole nother level. And so can you imagine the kind of like emptiness and the brokenness that he has as a kid? And especially if he knew nothing about God and what it means to have a relationship with him, like that's brokenness on a whole nother level. On a whole nother level. At 11 years old. 11 years old. That's literally the age where as a boy, you're really starting to come into your own and transitioning from childhood to manhood. And I feel like as a man, that is like the crucial time. Between 10 and like 13, 14 years old is like the most crucial time to have a dad. And he missed out on that. And then look at all the stuff that he went through later on in life as a result of that. All the drug use, the depression, the suicide attempts, all that. And he's reflecting that in his music. He's helping other people through their struggle by talking about his mental struggle. And so while other people are healing through his music because they have somebody they can fall back and relate to, he's hurting still. He's hurting still. I want to replay that part.
My sister took it the hardest.
This is because of your age, being the youngest, you're watching your older sibling on is to be close to your parents and be loved by your parents. And so you're like, all right, my time as dad passes away when you're 11. How did you even like process that grief when it all happened?
Oh, I didn't. I pretended like it didn't happen. Like it was no time to really, grieve. Because it's four of us, right? And my sister took it the hardest. She was 18 at the time. And yeah, she took it the hardest. And, I was that kid like, hey, I don't want to be an extra burden to anybody. Like, let me just kind of keep to myself and keep on chugging along and not worry my mom. Just be cool.
Chat. Oh my gosh, that is trauma on a whole different level. To ignore the reality, to blatantly ignore the reality that your parent has passed away, that is trauma. And then what breaks my heart even more for this man going through that, bear with me now, this gets deep, is that because of the distant relationship he had with his father, and then his dad passing away at that age, he does not know what it means to have a relationship with God. Because if you think about it, the dad is like almost like a physical reputation. The dad's love, a father's love to us humans, is supposed to be a representation of what God the Father's love is for us. And so when you don't have that, it's very hard later in life to accept that somebody who you can't even see can love you in a perfect way. That's why fatherhood is so important, because through a father, people get to know what God's love is. They're better to able to understand and be able to like visualize and conceptualize what God's love is through means of having a physical father, a present father, a loving father. And so because he doesn't have that, or he didn't have that, somebody presents God to him, he's like, man, God can't love me, man. God can't love me, man. What are you talking about, man? If he loves me, why did he allow so and so and so and so? Why did he do so and so and so and so? Like, they see God as just like this far distant thing. If they even believe him at all, or choose to believe in him. And so it's like, man, how many people are going through this hurt, are going through this pain? Can you imagine what people are going through mentally and spiritually because of the lack of the love from a father, from their dad? How much better off would people be if their dad was in their life, lovingly present? And then what's crazy is that from their hurt, they just continue that cycle of hurt if they don't get help for it. So it ends up becoming like a generational thing, and it just keeps going and going and going and going and going. And it's like, when does it stop? When does it stop? Now, of course, situations like this with tragedy, you can't stop it. But for him to be distant from his father before he passed away, it's like he was already kind of set up for psychological and mental rewiring later on down the line. Fathers, man, got to step up. This is love right here, man. And so I pray that Kid Cudi ends up coming to know Christ. I really do. No celebrity, and I mean no celebrity, or HVI. Again, I'm trying to get away from that word celebrity. HVI, highly visible individual, is too great for God's love, or too far gone for God's love. If Paul can be saved, if Saul can be saved and turn to Paul, anybody can be saved regardless of their mental state, regardless of the mental and psychological state. It's sad that some people have to go the long way and the hard way to get there, but I just pray that Kid Cudi ends up coming to know Christ. Because even later on in this interview, he talks about how, he's happy now because of his wife. And, again, that's great. A wife's love is great. It's amazing. But she's still human. She's still gonna let you down. So in those moments where she let you down, like, are you gonna revert back to the drug use? Are you gonna revert back to the depression? There's only one person only that you could truly lean on for mental, psychological, emotional, and that spiritual stability. And that is Jesus Christ. That is Jesus Christ.